Hi friends. So I'm just chilling on Tuesday night. Um, I wanted to say a couple things about what I was most recently diving into. The last video I posted was what to do after you've decided to make a decision to change life that has become shambles. So today I want to talk about a couple things, and first I want to address something that I feel like is a common misconception, and it's in regards to meditation. Meditation is not, it doesn't have to be anything more than a way for us to get out of our own way. Meditation is awareness, and it's a way to be consciously aware of what already exists that we're missing or we're not paying attention to. These are things like this are very important to the recovering person because thus far we've taken life to very extreme degrees, feeling victimized and as if the rest of the world is what needs to change. And the fact of the matter is the rest of the world probably ain't going to change unless all those individuals do the same work that you're doing. So things like meditation are the ways that we're able to look inward for solutions rather than outward for solutions. It's also a great tool to help you stop reacting to life and actually think about the facts, to make sure that feelings and way of thinking is justified by way of facts, not just feelings. So yeah, it's really important. So last time I sort of walked around, did a little tour of this particular spot that I'm in and how I got here. It's pretty much self-explanatory. My life was in shambles and I was tired of taking it out on myself because I felt done wrong by other things. I wasn't getting over certain things, and all that does is it stops time for the individual, and it just seems like everybody else keeps going. They keep cruising through life, and that's no way to be. So I talked a little bit about how I get up early. I like to get up early before everybody else. But I didn't really go into detail about what it is that I do. And I haven't always been the best at it. I'll admit that. But I'm trying to change that this time around. The habits that I'm building here, I'm not going to let those slide. So I wake up early. Most of the time, I spend a little bit of time getting myself a little ready, maybe dressed, clean my room up, make sure my bed's made, things like that. But then I pick something. Typically, I try not to read because it makes me want to go back to sleep. Reading something that I choose to do at the end of the day, if I'm gonna, or in the middle of the day. But lately, it's been like a little bit of yoga. It can be 5 minutes. Like 5 minutes. That's all it takes. And if you start with 5 minutes and halfway through, you've lost the motivation, well, okay. fine. But the point is every day to push yourself a little further than you were the day before. So maybe you start with 5 minutes, but it will grow. If you stick with it, it will grow. The point is that the brain of the addict has gotten to the point where the pleasure chemicals in the brain that are released as we're doing things that feel good to us is no longer satisfied with what's made normally. So we put these things into our system and it causes the brain to release, enormous amounts of these chemicals in excess. And so we've become used to that. And so the only way to get used to things again and to help the damage that's been done is to do things that used to be fun or that should feel good, but for some reason to you they almost maybe even nauseate you. Like everybody knows that you have to maintain yourself and take showers and clean up after yourself, and those are the things that we tend to let slide because maybe somebody else is going to follow us and do it as we don't, or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is that for most of us, mama ain't here to clean up after us, and that's not what a man does. A man does what he needs to do when he needs to do it, and he goes to great lengths to get that done. Hopefully it stays within boundaries of morality, and hopefully it doesn't affect anybody negatively. If it does, a man cleans that up. And so what a man does is he gets up and he focuses on what he needs to do to accomplish his day. And then he doesn't do it because anybody else promised him, or because he doesn't do it because he promised anybody else. He does it because it's what needs to be done. And realistically, he told himself that he's going to do the best he can to get things done. And so we start our day as men. And hopefully we accomplish as much as we want to in the day. So, step number two, after you've gotten yourself through detox, if it's needed, or after you've decided I don't want to be homeless and struggling and freezing anymore, once you've gotten yourself out of a medical detox facility, you've been placed in a group home for 30, 60, or 90 days. Hopefully it's like 90, because problem isn't getting sober, it's staying sober. So you want to give yourself the best opportunity that you can. And slow and steady and easy does it one day at a time is the way to go. And the more days, the more opportunity, the better these habits that you're trying to break and develop are going to stick. New behaviors are going to stick. Old behaviors are going to fall away. They're going to become even childish seeming. You're going to wonder why it is you ever put yourself through that in the first place. You're going to have a firm resolve that you're never going to do it again. And you're going to always continue to do what you're doing right now, or have done for a whole week. And any one of us knows that there's been plenty of times where that's been real. Those resolves have been real in my mind. I could pass a lie detector test. There was nothing fake about it. And I walked out the door and later on that day ran right into something that I shouldn't have, or practiced old behavior I shouldn't have, and it led me to a mistake, and I fell right on my face. With 150% intentions not to, and that's just the nature of the addict. It's a very difficult thing. So the longer, just because you start to feel good after a week or two doesn't mean you got it. Trust me. That's not setting yourself up for the best possible opportunity. That's putting yourself through things that can be the most challenging ever. And you want things like that when it comes to life or death. Maybe you don't always want to take the hardest route so that you can grow the most or learn the most. Sometimes you want to take routes that are going to make sure you survive. So that's my advice. But anyways, sorry, got off topic there, but step 2 is, now that you've got yourself to this group home, aside from whatever it is that they have you doing on their schedule, like for example here, first thing in the morning is obviously medications. If you take them, they're distributed or you have access to them at that time. Then we do a couple chores, and then, obviously breakfast you manage somewhere in there. And then by around 10:30 or 11, we have somebody that shows up to the house, and we do like an hour of group time. We talk about how things are going. It's just kind of a check-in and maybe just a little 10-minute word, food for thought or something like that. Then it's lunchtime, Anyways, here we go to the gym twice a week. We go grocery shopping once a week so that if you can afford it, you can get yourself special things if you want it, whatever it is they don't provide here for us. They're kind of health conscious. For example, like they don't really provide soda. Those are the types of things that we would blow through in a whole day anyway. So if you want soda, you provide your own soda, things like that. I would encourage you not to get soda because it's not the healthiest thing. And why do we want to kill ourselves from other things if we stopped doing things like dope and alcohol that kill us that way? So, yeah, anyways. Step 2 is to try to get yourself down to the most routine and consistent things throughout your day that you can practice every day. My morning is something that I do. I try to stick to as best I can. The time I get up might vary, at least right now, because I'm trying to make it earlier and earlier as the weeks go by. But for the most part, my morning is the thing that I'm committed to every single day. Every single day when I wake up in the morning, I do the same things when it comes to, waking up and getting my awareness lined up for the day, figuring out what it is that I want to accomplish in the day. Even if what I want to accomplish is doing nothing. If I want to accomplish something that's really hard for humans to do, some of us, it's really, really hard to actually stay put and just don't do anything for the day. Sometimes you have to let yourself recover. Sometimes you have to let your brain sort of reset. You have to be able to process things. You can't just go all the time. That's what leads us to self-medicate, and that's how we manage that stress. So my morning is something that I will do all the time. I would encourage you to do the same thing. So, yeah. Let's see, what else? The other thing is, maybe it's not necessarily for the newbie unless you have access to books. But like for me, I have a book or two that I'm going to read constantly. I'm going to read this book, hopefully for the next 20 years, and then hopefully for 20 years after that if I see it. Pick a book. It can be the Bible. That's fine. But I also think that the Bible is very hard on people. If they're not going to look at it as spirituality and a way of life, if you're going to be focused on religion as the crutch, you might be constantly focused on other people's expectation of you, and that's not necessarily the greatest thing. So the Bible's fine as long as you're using it to expand your awareness of yourself, not the rest of the world or anybody else or anybody else's perspective on you. Then that's fine. That's just my advice. Pick a good motivational sort of for life book, and try to cling on to that thing like a life raft. You can use it for a lot of things. And for me, it has to do a lot of times with conflict, and a lot of times the book I dive into, or this particular book that I've chosen, if I use it to avoid conflict and I look to it, it's going to immediately give me solutions for conflict. If you want to know what that book is, I can tell you personally, but I'm not going to make anything public by way of names or anything like that specifically, at least not right now. I will later on probably do a video explaining how all the books that I've read and currently reading are helping me and how I've got to the point that I am and where I plan to be in the future. But for now, I don't want to sway anybody's judgment or decisions that they make, because I want everybody to make it personal for themselves, and I want everybody to be successful. So, yeah, that's it for now. Stay free, stay blessed, and I will talk to you in the next section.